Hey guys, so we're going to try something a wee bit different today.
So if we fuck it up, don't get too mad at us, alright?
Exactly. But we're going to be talking about the fighter class because they do get a wee bit of stick. And honestly, I love me a fighter.
I think the fighter, to me, is my personal favourite, so that's why we're starting with it.
Yeah.
And if we never do any more, well, you know, like, we know, like, we may have made a complete balls up of it, but, like, I was thinking, you know what, I want to do a lore video today, but I was like, you know what, I don't want to do a lore video. Let's talk about fighters.
Yeah, let's talk about fighters.
So, like, you know,
because they're based in Red Pill.
Exactly, they are based in Red Pill. So the big thing about the fighter is, let's be serious, it is the most basic of basic classes in any RPG system.
Yeah. If you're starting off and you haven't played before, pick a fighter.
Go with a fighter. It's always, and generally speaking, they're quite good. Mm-hmm. Well, at least in 5th edition, they're quite good. They've kind of been all over the show. But
that's why we're going to be talking about them from 1st edition right through to 5th edition.
Well, no, not right through, because we're only going to do 1st edition, and we're going to go straight to 5th.
Oh, are we?
Because I could not be arsed doing every single edition, and I'm sure you guys probably don't care about every single edition. So let's see where they started from to where they are
now.
Does that make sense? Let's just get into this, will we?
Class role. The fighter's primary role is serving as a meat shield and smashing things. Fighters can wear armour and use powerful weapons. They are also traditionally good at physical activities like jumping, riding animals, balancing, and sometimes not drowning underwater. Sometimes not drowning underwater the weight of their own armour. Without fighters, or at least their magical cousins, paladins, a party typically needs to replace them via summoning or enchantment to ensure that the GM doesn't actually pick off at least one party member on any given day.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but if you're the fighter, you're probably the expendable one.
Yeah.
You're the one getting battered in the face.
You're the one getting thrown into the room first.
Yeah, you're the one that's going to have to tank all that damage. But look, you got a big, nice shield. You got nice,
probably a big hammer or a big sword or something.
And
to be able to...
Who doesn't enjoy that archetype? So fuck me, do you guys hear them birds? Like, sorry, Jesus Christ, we're getting attacked. Like, this video was not very prepared at all. Megan's just awake, so let's keep going. Well,
I had a nap.
Yeah, daytime naps, am I right, guys?
Pregnancy.
Yeah. So let's talk about some archetypes. So, you know, I think the go-to fighter in any fantasy world setting is Argon. Mm-hmm. He embodies the fighter archetype to me. And if you're boring, you can go for someone like Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, to me, Aragorn, I would put more down as, like, a rogue.
No, he does have some things that he could do, especially at the beginning and, like, you know, the Fellowship. But again, he also has, like, all that survival instincts and stuff, and tracking. He's almost like what a ranger should be. My
go-to fighter, especially within Lord of the Rings, would be Gimli.
Oh yeah,
Dwarven fighter.
See if you're playing a dwarf and it's not a
and
martial,
it's not based on Gimli.
and it's not a
what are you doing?
Class, sort yourself out. But again, this is one of those things. A fighter can almost be anything. It can be anything from a Viking, a samurai, a European knight, or even maybe a modern day US Marine or SAS.
Yeah.
You know, and there's such a broad spectrum all across the board. And what I love the best is you do not have to keep fighters to fantasy.
Yeah.
You can use real world, Alexander the Great, Caesar, you know, all those sorts of...
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Not Ragnarok. Is it Ragnarok?
No, that's Norse mythology.
Yeah, but you can still use them.
Yeah, you can put maybe in there to a certain extent, although they lack the magic. I think there's a good Clark subclass that really gives me Thor vibes, but this video's not about Clark, so let's just keep going, will we? But you get what we're trying to say. I think taking inspiration, a lot of people are like, no, you have to be completely original, you have to always come up with your own ideas. Nah, don't listen to that shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't creative, a lot of people can't do that type of shit, and honestly, it's probably going to, like, anyone that does say, oh no, my OC's totally amazing, it's totally original, you're just going to end up... Yeah, you're lying, and you're going to end up with some Sonic Shoe knockoff type shit.
Yes.
But I'm sure, of course, if you want to, you know, that's perfectly fine, you know?
So, fighters in 1st edition. In the 1st editions, the fighter's strength was endurance. His killing power lasted far longer than that of magic users, as he could not run out of sword. Back then, the only cantrip was prestidigitation, except it was just called cantrip. So a level 1 mage could cast Magic Missile exactly once, and was then completely useless for the rest of the fight.
Could you imagine that even today? The idea of a wizard using a crossbow even once?
Once, just once.
You gotta be mad. You got firebolt for days, boy.
And we liked it. Of course, any player worth their salt would take sleep instead. By rule, it was possible for a fighter to obtain a level of armour fairly early on that made him unhittable unless the attacker rolled a natural 20. This even worked against touch attacks, as the rule granted them no bonus to hit. Fighters could also mass many hit points. Gear loss was not a problem in 1st edition, as the fighter could wear any armour and use any weapon that they find. A little later, the Unearthed Arcana book first added weapon specialisation. The weapon mastery, then named double specialisation, allowing fighters to improve their damage even further and attack more than once per round, further improved by level. However, the fighter's saving throw defences against special attacks were absolutely wretched, making him a sitting duck for powerless, petrification, breathe weapons, death magic, magic wands, spells, and most horribly, poison, which was everywhere in 1st edition and meant almost certain death.
It was. Poison back then was not fun. It was pretty much poison. Yeah, you just die. I'm sorry. Instant death.
Many find playing 1st edition fighter boring because every problem was solved in largely the same way, and find the extra dice rolling to be a chore rather than a pleasure.
So that's where fighters were in 1st edition. However, we're normies that never played 1st edition because we are younglings.
Younglings?
No, like I've seen
fucking feel like a youngling, but yeah, apparently.
Yeah, apparently we are. No, but I know the age groups or the demographics on this channel, and you'd be surprised we do actually have a lot of
older players. Yeah,
a lot of people.
Not
in their
calling
40s.
You guys old, but like.
Yeah, get your boomer juice out, get your monster diets out. It was it was a nice time. It was a simpler time.
So let's move on to 5th edition and see where fighters are now. In 5th edition, the fighter is the only class who hangs on to 4th edition's healing surge, called Second Wind, and usable once per short rest, granting 1d10 plus fighter level. Fighters' base class don't have a lot of abilities, but what they do have is very useful. Aside for aforementioned Second Wind, they can do 2 actions per turn, once per short rest, get rerolls on field saving throws, and are the only class that can get 3 plus basic attacks per turn without feats or dual wielding. All very simple but incredibly powerful abilities. Fighter also have more levels dedicated to stat increases, and since you can use those for either 2 stat points or 1 feat, fighters are likely to have 20s in any stat that they want, and still have slots left over for feats.
Let's be serious though.
Fighters can be OP'd if you play them right.
You got feats for days, and I think there is a lot that could be fixed with a fighter, but I feel like you do fix it with feats anyway, and they're more customizable to what you want to play. It's just you need to know your build before you start taking anything. Yeah.
While a stereotypical warrior is a strength-based frontliner tank, sword and board, or damage dealer, great sword or polearm, dex builds of dual wielder, duelist or archer are equally viable, giving you better range and stealth options, while losing on the AC and ability to wrestle enemies down with brute strength.
A lot of people make the mistake, they think, oh, I want to play a guy with a bow, so they go for a ranger.
Yeah.
You don't, you play a fighter.
With a bow.
It's a bit counterintuitive, but trust me.
Do it. Most of the fighter flavour and cool tricks comes from the subclasses.
And now, the models of our website, brought to you by neckbeardia.co.uk. Get y'all some of these titties.
Dwarf titties, orc titties, cat titties, fat titties, the gases and assisted bit. Vampires and goblins and all the buff champions and even hentai, yeah that too. Dragons, manticores, ogres and gnomes and bugbears and even more to you go still. Undead and demons and then our friend Pally and definitely not 40k. Wood elves, dark elves and lizards and Megan the Slither and James the look cool as he stands. Beholders and kobolds and tyrants and only in a donkey with a frying pan. If you don't want no models, then no need to bother. We now have subclasses and teas. Also, Guardbros Book, go have a look. Check out the link to Ko-fi. Thank you for watching our videos and giving our channel a hand. But this is the end, our viewers and friends, so let's get back to the video, man.
I fucking hate myself. Now this is where it gets interesting with fighters. This is where I like it.
Yeah. Although there's one thing I want to speak about before. This is something that I am heavily in favour of, and I think a lot of DMs should incorporate this.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Honestly, Battlemaster is just amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like even a just limited amount of maneuver actions would just, I don't know, I feel like it would be great personally. I don't feel like fighters are overpowered in any way. I think they're very much middle of the road, and it depends on what you, like, of course you can.
And how you play them.
How you play them, and you can mishmax you can mishmax them, but you get what I'm trying to say.
So, subclasses. Champion. Gives him more sustain and tankiness, with more frequent crits and better physical abilities score checks, including initiative. Notable for being the only fighter subclass with no active abilities, which makes Champion Fighter pretty much the gold standard of blandness in 5th edition.
I mean, like, it's not long. It is not long. It is genuine. You don't get anything, but it's just all passiveness, which is amazing for if you want to start playing and you do not want to do...
if you want to just learn the rules,
go with
play a champion
play
fighter.
as a champion fighter, and honestly, you can really do a lot with it. There's a lot of role play, but there's role play opportunities with any fighter. I feel like so. Honestly, fighter pretty solid overall. Check it out if you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing, play a Battlemaster though.
So Battlemaster, whose superiority dice allow them to perform maneuvers in combat to control the battlefield, help friends, and inconvenience enemies. It's generally considered the most powerful and versatile fighter subclass, and for a good reason. So much so that these maneuvers were even made as a special fighting style in the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything Splat book.
I wasn't a big fan of Tasha's Cauldron, but I don't know many people that were a big fan of it, so let's just pretend it doesn't exist, but we're still going to talk about the subclasses that were in it, so let's keep going.
Eldridge Knight, who casts spells and swings swords, and eventually can cast and swing at the same time.
Now guys, what you guys need to tell me is the shittest fighter mage combo name ever, because there's the spell sword, you guys know, there's so many like shit here, the battle mage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many names for this, and they're all bad. Honestly, Eldridge Knights are pretty cool though, I like them.
Purple Dragon Knight, whose setting neutral name is given as Banneret, whose gimmick is that he can give other party members fighter powers, and so he can basically serve as an option to play as a warlord. Arcane Archer, an archery-focused archetype that allows to imbue fighter arrows with magical properties, such as ability to go through cover or to redirect your shot at a different target in case of a miss.
I mean, like, let's be serious, no one's favourite Avenger is Hawkeye, but if you want to play Hawkeye, I suppose you got it here.
Do this. Yeah. Cavalier, a mount-based archetype that specialises in protection and control of the battlefield.
All I'm saying is, if you do not, you need to play, if you're going to play a Cavalier, you play as a gnome, and you get someone to piggyback.
And you get fucking wrecked.
No,
that's what you do if you play as a fucking gnome.
Yeah, honestly, fuck gnomes. Okay, you can do a halfling. Halfling, will we agree on a halfling? Okay, we'll go with halfling. So what you want to do is you want to play as a halfling, right? And you want to find someone who's massive, and then you guide them about into battle.
Yeah.
And you just essentially become Master Blaster from Mad Max.
Yeah, yes.
I love the combo. I love the idea. Someone's got to do it at some stage.
Samurai, an archetype that allows fighters to get both advantage on attacks and temporary hit points as a bonus action 3 times per long rest, and boosts their social abilities.
Pretty solid.
Monster Hunter. Like the Battlemaster makes use of superiority dice, but his are more limited in use. Add 1 to an attack roll, add 1 to damage roll, add 1 to an intelligence, whiz or charisma saving throw, or add 1 to wisdom checks made either to detect a hidden creature / objects, or to determine if someone's lying. He gains bonus proficiencies and skills useful for monster hunting. Can cast detect magic as a ritual and protection from evil and good once per long rest as a spell-like ability, and at a 7th level gains the Monster Slayer trait. This A lets him spend 2 superiority dice for extra damage instead of 1, and B means that when he does so against an aberration, fey, fiend or undead target, superiority dice deal their maximum bonus damage automatically.
Pretty good.
And I know you're going to take the piss out of me the way I say monster.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Echo Knight. is a curious subclass built around creating 1 HP magical time clones of yourself and teleport swapping with them, making attacks through them, eventually making attacks alongside them, and healing when they get destroyed. Brute is exactly what the name suggests. A simple brute force warrior that deals more damage and generally behaves like a cruder version of Champion, with a bit of barbarian charm sprinkled on it. Someone aptly described it as the go-to subclass for playing Gregor Clegane,
Yeah.
or Warhammer Fantasy Core Knight Champion.
I like it.
Rune Knight is a battlesmith carving magical runes into his equipment that gives him potent passive effects and one-use active effects by invoking those runes. Surprisingly, not connected to dwarfs in any way. It actually draws power from giant heritage and even lets you roid rage twice per long rest, during which you go larger and hit harder. Scout is for when you want to play a ranger but you're allergic to classes that suck.
Yeah, pretty much.
It also uses superiority dice, but for much weaker effects than Battlemaster and Monster Hunter. In return, you get a ton of out-of-combat utilities for scouting, foraging, and survival in the wilderness, and tools for setting up ambushes, making the most out of them, and avoid getting into one yourself.
I told you guys. If you want to play like a ranger, but like
Play a scout.
a good ranger,
Yeah.
just do it.
Knight is a fantasy Jedi that comes stocked with psychic shields for damage reduction, psychic strikes augmenting one of his attacks per turn. This psychic jumps that only cost 1 foot of movement for extra mobility, and later grows to force push/trip for control, resistance to psychic damage and poisons, force barriers for sweet half cover in the open, and finally, full-on telekinesis. It all gets powered by funky psychic dice, which gets weaker if you roll too good, but grow back if you roll too bad. While some of the stronger abilities lower it just using them or using them more than once. So the more you use your Jedi powers, the more they fluctuate with a chance to run out of them, until a long rest if you consistently roll too good or overuse powerful abilities.
So that is all of the official subclasses for 5th edition. However, I myself am working on a bit of a homebrew subclass, which is the North FC fighter, if you're familiar with the... Who's coming home? Come on, England!
Score some fucking goals!
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys are more than enough familiar with the North FC meme. I think it's hilarious. It's pretty much kind of like a fighter bard hybrid, you know, for like buffing allies and stuff. But I'm still in the works with that, so if you're watching this video, it's probably not up.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is. Maybe it's months away and, like, you know, it is up. In case, check the links down below.
Check it.
It would help us out a lot. So now we're just going to talk about just some final notes, just to leave us off. What I want to talk about is, for me, role-playing a fighter, I have a hard time thinking of, if you're going to pick a noble background, it has to be a paladin or a fighter, or maybe a sorcerer. I just have a hard time imagining a king or a leader and not be a martial class of some sort.
Yeah.
In my mind, I just do have a hard time in picturing that in my mind.
Like a good noble fighter.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be that person, but like Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones is a very good
one
to base it on.
Henry VIII when he was young and not fat.
Yeah, exactly.
When he wasn't fat,
like
he was fucking
good Robert Baratheon, not whenever he was on the throne fucking whores and all that shit.
Yeah.
No, like whenever he's in the middle of the battles and
I think genuinely, the thing is, in fantasy games, you cannot get any good examples of what anything really looks like, but with fighters can.
Yeah, because you can
see it.
You can see it. You can put them to a character in a book, a movie, a story, history.
If you want, just go out, buy a sword and start beating people with it.
Beating?
And then you gotta see what you
get away off the road and stop beating people.
No, but you know what I mean. You can get a feel for how they live, what they're doing, how they're getting along, and
don't
the thing
do
is,
that, by the way.
Okay, like, normally I wouldn't need to put in like things.
Disclaimer: don't get a sword and start beating people.
Some of you guys are fucking mentals, alright? So you can't be too sure about it. But no, as I'm trying to say is, I like the fighter because, again, it's very real. It's pretty much what every soldier has ever been throughout human history. You're either going to be a guy with a big pointy spear, or a guy with a bow, or you're a guy on a horse.
Yeah.
And that's about it, you know, for the vast majority of human history when it comes to warfare. So you can take people from history and reimagine them, which I love. I'm a big fan of history. I really enjoy it. And I feel like that's where the fighter, to me, really shines because it is real.
Yeah.
Would that be fair to say? Of course, you can't get phalanx formations and you can't get shield walls and stuff in 5th edition. But one can wish, but that's what war games are for, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, tell us about your fighter. Have you ever played a fighter? I've played quite a few, so I have. They're possibly my favourite class. I love martial classes. I
love baiting things.
I just love giving people good boinkings on the heads.
Yeah.
And just calling it a day.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows what's going to happen.
And look, if you're in a trap situation, just start baiting things. Something's going to happen.
Eventually, something's going to work out.
Something's going to happen.
But I think so. This is something very different for us. I would love to do more of it. We did do a couple of lore, like D&D. We've done plenty of 40k lore videos, and we've only done like 1 or 2 D&D ones, but they never really got many views. But I do want to do more stuff like this or in this vein, and I would love to talk about other classes. So it really does depend on what this video is like. If we'll make like a series of it,
if there's other classes you want us to talk about, let us know down below, because we might make a list of ones that you guys want us to talk about, and then we can go down them and talk about them if this video takes off. If this video gets watched.
Well, if you know, like, people aren't coming to us for fucking min-max and character builds, are they? You know, you're coming for us for fucking, oh my god, this guy's wanking under the table again. What the fuck's going on, guys? You get what I'm on about, but like, this is just something a wee bit different. I want to do some more, like, we're on a new channel, it's time to expand, try new things.
And now's the time to do it.
Exactly.
So let us know what you think about this video, and while you're down there, check out the links to the website.
Yeah, we got tons of models, especially a lot of fighters,
So go check that out. Check out the subclasses while you're there, the t-shirts, all that good shit. And we're actually trying to set up a TikTok in a minute.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah, we're working on some things. I don't imagine many of you guys, because we already said earlier in the video, we know you guys are, there's a lot of people in their 40s
but
that watch us.
But if you're on TikTok, Neckbeardia, we might link it, I don't know. But we're trying shit, guys.
Look.
We're trying shit. Leave us alone. Anyway.
See you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.
Bye.